So if we can move on to item 6, and if I could ask Brian Stinton to introduce it. It's the proposal on Histon Road bus priority walking and cycling measures. Thank you, Mr. Stinton.
Thank you, Chair. Can I make a suggestion to the Chair that we take both the Histon Road and Milton Road reports together as they're very similar in context?
You can, if you want, and if you introduce them both, and then I'll ask Councillor Bick to contribute on them both. Thank you. And then we'll take the two as well. We'll need to take them separately when we come to looking at the recommendations.
Okay. Yeah, as I said, they're two very similar reports dealing with key radial routes into the city from the north. Today, essentially, we're asking the board to approve consultation on a series of very high-level measures that have been developed that illustrate the type of concepts that we could introduce to improve bus journeys and facilities for cyclists and pedestrians on those routes. Both of the schemes are identified in the local plan and support the emerging local plans, so there's strong policy support for them. The report that you've seen before you outlines the study, as I say, aiming to improve facilities for pedestrians, cyclists and buses. The measures are very high level. They have been and some costs have been assigned to them, although again I think you should recognise that they're at a very early stage and will need to be refined as the proposals develop. The study identifies a significant increase in bus provision to cater for future growth on the routes, and the measures aim not only to deal with some of the problems that we see on both of those routes at the moment, but to cater for future growth. As I said, they're illustrative and they are a starting point for public consultation, the response to which will be used to further develop the proposals into a preferred scheme. There's a do maximum and a do something scheme. Both have similar principles to them. One contains more than the other, essentially. The key issue is likely, I suspect, to be striking the right balance between delivering benefits for transport against the impacts on local access, parking displacement, traffic displacement, and the public realm. I think that's all I really need to say in the introduction.
Okay, so the proposal on both, Mr. Stinton, is to evolve a consultation document on a do maximum and do something as the basis for inviting other views during that consultation. Yeah. Councillor Bick, do you want to take them? You've obviously raised some principles about both, but yeah, however you want to share the views on both of those schemes, either in combination or in sequence. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. So the bottom line of the Assembly's consideration of these two proposed schemes was that we did believe they were fit for release for consultation, and the recommendation that we're making is in line with that. There were 3 points worthy of report in addition to that. The first is that we would like to see a clear and express part of your decision that there should be encouragement for other ideas to be properly considered in the course of the consultation exercises. And we've seen in the context of other scheme consultations that this is a sensitive point and important to ensure that it's clear that that is the case right from the word go. And so the wording in italics in our report on the recommendations indicate the words added and encourages all other ideas to be properly considered, and those are recommended to be included in the case of both schemes. The second point that I wanted to highlight is that not unnaturally in the case of these schemes, members did dwell on the impact on trees and vegetation along the two roads, and obviously fearing that is somehow in jeopardy by forms that these two schemes could take. we wanted to see these days just what can be done in terms of greening and landscaping traffic schemes of this kind. We wanted to inform ourselves and by extension to everyone else what can be done, so that we may know what we may want to ask for when we see the outcome of the consultation. So that was a decision that we made to call in an expert or outside consultant who deals in landscape work, greening work on transport schemes, to give us a very, very general illustration of what can be done in schemes of this type these days, rather than something that would be, at this stage, customised to these particular plans. The third point that we wanted to raise was the need for a little bit more clarity on some of the maps that go with these reports, the meaning of the dotted lines in relation to potential bus routes, and some of the definitions, including the distinctions between advisory, mandatory and segregated, which we understand are well known to people close to the subject, but probably would miss most of the general public, and we want to see something that's simple, clear and explanatory. And so we're requesting, and I think officers agreed that these could be taken into account, we're requesting that, that those remarks are looked at when it comes to composing consultation documentation. So with those points, we wanted to say yes, do release these for consultation.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So, if having considered those 3 points, I could just respond with the proposals to the board. In terms of an amendment, I think wording and encourages other ideas to be considered is something that we would strongly support. So I think we'll just come with a sort of more simpler form of wording. I think, as you'll recall, Councillor Dick, when we discussed a similar issue earlier, both the Assembly and the Board recorded the view that we did want opportunities for alternatives. So I'd just like to minute my support. The website and the materials on these consultations has phrasing that invites other options to be proposed, and I think that's certainly made easier in an option consultation, which is do the maximum and do something. So I think it's kind of implicit that it's a spectrum, but we want to encourage that. Yeah, we support the proposal that you've got to have an input on the landscape, trees and vegetation. Obviously we want it to be in conjunction with the project manager so that it's integrated, but you're welcome and we support that. And I think officers may have already shared with you the recognition that I think Graham Hughes accepts, and Mr Stinton, that some of the language does need to be on cycle speak. So I think we're very happy to accept that third recommendation. So what I would be proposing on both the Histon Road and the Milton Road would be that wording change to B, with the minor variations that I've mentioned, and invite the board to make any comments or ask any questions on either of the two reports. Councillor Cowell.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I agree with the. Thank you for the report, and thank you for those valuable suggestions. I agree with that very minor change to work that encourages other ideas for consideration. I've got a question on page 21, bullet point number 20, on cost. There's a suggestion that the options could exceed the initial project budget, estimate the additional funding could be required. And I know that it's only conceptual going back, so therefore there was no, the budget's only going to be a variable. Perhaps some comment on what the impacts be should some of these do maximum come up with much larger scheme budgets.
As I said, they are very high level costs at the moment, as you acknowledge. There's no certainty as to whether the costs coming in or over the estimates. There are a number of factors that could influence those, such as underground services and those sorts of things, which could escalate the costs much beyond the high level estimates that we've got. But the work is obviously developing as the proposals come forward. Essentially, though, I think if we're faced with the prospect of the scheme costing more than has been allocated, we would obviously look to supplement any spend with Section 106 funding or other funding if it were available. The alternative is to re-engineer the scheme to reduce the scope of the scheme but whilst retaining maximum benefits, or potentially even relocate secure funding within the overall programme. But that's obviously something that would have to come back to the board when the costs are much more focused on.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you. Well, a question or rather a comment. It's to do with the consultation process. We heard earlier on that we have too much consultation, and we heard other comments that our consultation that aren't detailed enough or incorporated enough. The one thing that I really wouldn't want to happen is in our forward list of consultations, there was a suggestion that they should be sequential. Right? And I cannot see any way that, first of all, there are overlaps with county council, city council, South Cambs, other organisations, etc., that we could plan that to such a degree, but even that we should. The money hinges on us delivering schemes at the fastest possible pace to satisfy government second and third tranches of money. And to just delay one consultation from stopping where it's maybe to another one because something else elsewhere in the Greater Cambridge area hasn't finished wouldn't make sense for me, so I would like to see that. But obviously there will be pending. I was just wondering, in terms of consultation responses, what analysis we do of the sort of postcodes and the type of responses that come from specific postcodes, and whether that will have impact on our decision making.
Yes, in short, we asked the people responding to the consultation to give an address or a postcode so that we can identify their response, the source of the geographical source of the response. And we also try to group those together by user as well, so cross-reference them by user type as well, so we get responses from bus operators, cyclists, pedestrians, residents, and so on. So we try to maximise the information that we get. Then the comments are obviously summarised into a format that identifies common themes. Then it's all recorded back.
Any other questions or points? Okay, well, we've got two reports and two sets of recommendations. They are in parallel, and the proposal is to have a single consultation, albeit that on two different schemes. So on the Histon Road report, we've got three recommendations with this proposed additional wording being clear enough. So first of all, put those recommendations to the board. Are those agreed? Agreed. Thank you. And then Milton Road, a parallel set of recommendations, but there's four recommendations there with, again, that minor wording, that important wording change. Agreed? Okay, thank you. So that's items 5, 6 and 7. So we move on to item